I'm Paula from Very Chic Emporium, and today we've got this project with these unusual cupboards that look a bit like lockers. I don't know whether they could be bedsides or just cupboards, but regardless we're going to try and pretty them up because they're a little bit plain at the moment. So the only thing we've done in preparation before this video is sand the tops down back to the raw wood because it was all originally the same colour, and we'll show you why when we get to that stage. I've purchased some lovely butterfly napkins, and there's some with colour as well. We've chosen Creme de la Creme, gorgeous lazy range colour. So that's going to be the main bulk of the colour, and as you can see it goes very well with the napkins that we've got. And what we're going to do is mix and match things a bit today. So I wanted to show you how you don't have to just stick to decoupage and napkins, that we can actually use stencils as well to complement the decoupage. So I've got some French stencils, little ones, and we're going to use those as well. And we might even use some flamenco to pick out some colour details on the napkins once they're dry, so we can actually use the fine art of the napkins but add the colour that we want as well for it all to tie in. So the first job today is to give them a wipe down and paint the bulk of it in the plain colour, so we'll come back when we've got that done. Alright. Hiya, so as you can see we've completed both cupboards. I've left one upright, but I always recommend, if possible, to, especially if you're a beginner, to do stenciling with it lying down because you've got gravity on your side and you've got a much better chance of it turning out without bleeding and better. So I've taped my stencil using just a little bit of masking tape. I don't need to do it all the way around because I've got gravity, it's not really going anywhere and I can use my hands. I'm going to use Louvre. The consistency of French sheet paint is absolutely perfect for stenciling, you don't need to water it down. I've got a stenciling brush which I've taped up with masking tape to keep the brush bit stiff and firm and not splay out, because that will give me a better stencil as well, so that's a really good tip to use that. So I'm going to show you the stenciling bit. As you can see we've also laid out bits of the decoupage that I showed you, which is these napkins, and we literally cut round them. Quite often I tear, but on this occasion we've cut round to get more detail and then taken the two back layers off. So these are ready to stick on with finishing coat, which I'll show you after I've got the stenciling off the go. So we've got a couple of stencils ready to do, but I'll show you this one just so as you can see it. So I'm going to dip it in. My rule of thumb with stenciling is always less is more, so I've got a reasonable amount, but I'm going to take off the excess on the lid. And now I'm just going to go up and down. So less is more. It's much better to do two coats than it is to try and do one thick coat. One thick coat stands the risk of it bleeding underneath, slipping underneath and just ruining. Alright, so as you can see I've carried on finishing the stencil in exactly the same way. I've done quite a few of the words in different places. We're not quite there yet, but I'm just sort of getting to the point of laying things out and seeing what it looks and seeing if it needs more or not. So I was just going to show you the bit of decoupage. This is just finishing coat, and all I'm going to do is very roughly layer it on fairly evenly, not too wet, not too dry, and then stick it on. Just literally press it down gently, use a bit more of the finishing coat to brush it into place. There we go. And you can see it's already dissolving into the colour underneath. Now this is Creme de la Creme, which technically doesn't need any other kind of finishing because it's got the wax in it, but because I'm using finishing coat for decoupage it's going to leave a kind of mark around it, so I will end up using finishing coat over the top of all of it to blend it all in. So I'm going to go ahead in the same way and stick down all of these bits because frankly they've been blowing all over the shop every time Andrea tries to blow a bit of dust off something. So we felt it would be safer to stick them down while we can. So we'll come back once we're sort of at the working stage of working out if it needs more or less. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so we're very nearly there in terms of the layout, quite happy with it, and I've sort of decided to stop. I talked to you right at the beginning about doing a little bit of colouring in of some of the decoupage that we've got. So it's I've mixed up a little bit of flamenco and a little bit of loaf, and I'm going to use a tiny brush to just fill in the butterfly so it's the colour that I want it. When I've done this, I'm going to do the other butterfly, but we're going to use the same mixture and a bit watered down to create a stain for the top of the cupboard. So I'll show you how that works in a minute. I shall carry on just filling in this butterfly. It's just because I want this colour to tie in. It obviously looked absolutely fine as it was, but I want it to tie in with the top. Alright, so I'll come back when we're up the doing the top stage. Right, so we're now on to the top section, and I have mixed up again a mixture of flamenco and leaf and added water, so it's really quite runny. Because this paint is water based, we can use it not only as a paint, as a solid paint, we can use it as a stain. And by rubbing this wood right back to its natural raw state, it will absorb it as it would a stain. So I'm going to simply, and as you can see, I've masked off with some paper because it is quite runny, but you've got to work quite quickly. So I'm going to get it on, and it will already, because of the raw state of the wood, just be sucking it in. And if I want, and it wasn't, and I thought it was too strong a colour, I could add water at this point to water it down. I'm going to obviously do all of it the same, but while it's still a bit wet, I've got a damp cloth, and I'm just going to, can you see, it's pulling back to the grain.
You know that you're looking amazing, and I love you inside out. I love your eyes as blue as the skies. I love your lips to your fingertips. I love your bones, your old sticks and stones. Yeah, I love you inside out. Oh, don't you believe me? I know.
So just to note, when I was wiping back with the wet damp cloth, I was making sure that I was wiping it back and forth that way so that it followed the grain, the natural grain underneath. So when I was doing the edges, and it was obviously leaving paint on the edge, I then washed it out that way so that I didn't have any lines that didn't look right. It's now been thoroughly dried with a hairdryer, which you can see it's darkened up quite a lot because this is non-dry. This is dry. Right, the last thing I've got to do is finishing coat the cream stuff, and I'm going to put some dark wax on the top over the stain. I'm going to use a dark wax from a regular B&Q store, so we'll come back when I've finished it all off and you can see the finished item. This has been put on to protect, obviously I don't want dark wax going onto the cream. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, right, I think you'll agree it looks really great. The redness that was underneath the dark wax has just come out a lovely gorgeous colour, which has complemented really well the butterflies that we hand painted. I love the fact that we've overlapped decoupage and stencils together. I think they work really well. I think they look great. They were really boring lockery type cupboards and now they look fab. So I've got the other one to complete, which I will do, and you'll see a picture of the both of them finished together at the end. But for now I'm going to say goodbye till the next time. So thank you for supporting me. Please follow my page. It's www.facebook.com/The Emporium Furniture, which will take you straight to Furniture Emporium. Thank you, till the next time.